All right, so we are on here now. All right, so we're gonna go through kind of what we do and general mission. Then we're gonna talk about what we did over the summer, different kind of project that we worked on, the process of it, and where we're currently at, and what we still plan on doing. So my name is Heather Cole, MonRiverGames founder and director. What we do here is we try to kind of get together and build the studio from a variety of different people. It's a nonprofit studio in that we're all trying to learn something while we're going. So we're all kind of a part of the studio. We all have like our own stake in it. We only get out of it as much as we're willing to put into it and so forth. We aim to service this whole area. This is a lot of people, right? But you know, relatively speaking, there's not a whole lot in this area. So we're trying to fill in that void and give people of the area some experience in working with groups and then some other educational experiences as well. Hopefully we can get people to conferences at some point too. So anyway, Southwestern Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Okay. Mission. Okay, nonprofit 501c3 voluntary organization formed to provide affordable professional and education experiences within the game industry. So being able to work as a large-ish or a small studio, I guess. So it'd be a small indie studio, medium size. We usually have per session so far, we average between 8 to 12 members per session. We run kind of on a school schedule since this is also kind of in association with our game design and interactive media major and minor program over at West Virginia University. It's its own separate thing, but we also have a lot of students from that particular major and minor. Last year, we were able to help out in making sure that I think we sent in collaboration with the School of Arts, College of Creative Arts, Reed College of Media, and the X Art Club. I believe our number was about 8 people in total that were able to go to the Game Developers Conference, which is a big deal. This summer, okay, was our first summer community session. First time that we pretty much invited people in to try to work on this in a non-class setting. We did meetings remote every Thursday night at 6 p.m. We tried to be here even when I was in Spain or Ryan was off doing something else around the state or out of the state. We all tried to make it in here as much as we could to think up a project, vote on the project, and to start development on the project. The one that we chose was Dawn of Alina. And the process that it looked like was something like this. This is our initial post theme voting. So everyone tried to pitch a post. We voted on the theme. The theme ended up being light as key. And then the pitch that we ended up using was called Dawn of Alina. David, do you want to kind of sum up the story here?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
my name's David. I am the associate director for MonRiver Studio Games. So initially, whenever I went and thought about this, I was working with a group with Ryan, Tess, Jenny. Yeah, it was just us, me, including those 3. So essentially what this is, I was thinking in my head more so of like a Zelda style of a game. But with this, everybody's born with a magic ability and light is considered the weakest. And then Alina, she is the main character of the game. And so what happens is that dark creatures from the unknown come about and everybody loses their magic except for Alina, and it's up to her to go and purge the darkness and bring light back to the world.
Okay, thank you, David. All right, so this was kind of the initial concept. This is what it looked like. I'm not going to go through all the slides, but just gonna show you initial from where we started, the idea. All right. And since this was the one that won, we started development on it. This was the first 3D game to try to develop for the studio. We've just been working with 2D platforms for a while now. so this was our first 3D attempt, and we learned a lot in the process. We're pretty much just going to kind of go over what we learned from it, and then show you where we're going, and then finally, just tell you a little bit about membership information if you want to be a part of the studio, or if you want to do anything with this with us. The first part was process 1, the game design document. Would anyone else that's part of the summer session like to explain this part a little bit more, our initial concepts?
So mainly the game design document is it's just a big document that has literally the nuts and bolts, everything about the game, what the game is about, all of the world building and gameplay mechanics, everything. I think that's a decent enough way to sum it up. Missing anything?
Yeah, I agree. It's the nuts and bolts. It's what you start with. We say that it's called a living document. We update it as much as we can. Sometimes we have people that are able to stay the whole session. Sometimes people have to kind of bail out midway, and we understand. We'll keep going with the idea and keep trying to develop it. These were some kind of great initial concepts. This is what process looks like for us, at least. We might change this as we go to make it a little bit stronger. But that's basically what it looks like. You have your people that are named in their roles. You have your different outlines, different parts of this. So short blurbs, story summary, mechanics summary, our unique aspects, the world itself, okay, special abilities, and design concepts. So we try to focus on having a home village, and then for a minimum viable product, we wanted to have 3 specific villages. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit, but this is just kind of introducing those villages. We'd have a potion-based village that was located in the desert / an oasis, a nature-based village with nature magic that's located in a forestry kind of area. And then eventually we would have a psychic-based village located more in a swampy type area. These different villages would have their own type of magic as we enter this. So let's go back over here and we'll show you a few of our initial concepts. Okay. This made it into the game. I'm very proud of Maddie and her UI work. So this is part of that made it in. These were some initial concept pieces. Okay, let's go back. All right, more concepts. So I was talking about the desert town. The desert town would be the town in which their specialty is making potions, right? And this is actually where we aim to start off the whole world was this area. And then we'd go into the earth magic area. And then we'd eventually get into psychic type magic area. So these are all concepts. Again, the game is meant to be 3D. These are concept initial 2D sketches. It was a lot of our first times in 3D. A lot of us were trying to navigate learning Blender or Maya while we're going. And we're able to get some things out of it. So for example, this was made in Unity by one of our members, currently not here tonight, Nathan. And it's just kind of like, it's a map that uses images and pictures in order to generate its functions. So this was our initial map. Eric, do you want to say something about the assets that you were creating?
Yeah, so I used more of the Autodesk Inventor to make the potion bottles up to the top right. It's just like basic engineering software. And then somebody else went and put the textures on them and everything to make them look like bottles. And then I started getting into a little bit of development with David, but still learning that. And then we also have the tree map that Heather made to the bottom right. And that consists of multiple layers where we were going to work our way up.
I realize that our connection's a bit unstable tonight, so I apologize for that. Obviously, this is always the trouble you get with Zoom, but we'll keep trying to push right through it. Thank you, Eric. Anyone else want to talk about working in 3D space for possibly the first time or second time? I don't think any of our other acid people are here right now. So so I don't usually work in 3D space. So that was a new challenge for me. I made like some of these gem elements in this tree thing and whatnot. So that was interesting, new challenge, learning how to navigate in that particular space. I was used to Unity beforehand, so that was interesting. And then we have down here, okay, we made this actually within this last couple weeks, this final push to try to have something to show by today. And probably we had this realization at some point, we probably should have done this a while ago, maybe even first. So one of those things where you kind of live and learn, and you try to keep pushing forward. The way that this is laid out is fairly readable. We have kind of our blue highlights in brackets, our mechanic type elements. And then we have this normal area, you know, our environmental, our script, our dialogue elements, okay? By formatting like this, we can kind of have something that the developer can pick up and be like, okay, this is how I can map the scene a little bit better. David, do you want to throw anything more into here?
Not with this right here. I hardly got to look at the script part.
Okay. All right, no problem. All right. So we just wanted to show a little bit of our work in progress. David's going to walk us through it and talk about the challenges we encountered this very last week before the showcase. So I'm going to stop my share.
Absolutely. All right.
And you should be able to start sharing.
All right. Are you all able to see my screen all right now? All right, cool. So this right here is the demo level. I grabbed the level from a free low poly asset pack from the Unity asset store. And then so before really going and saying a whole lot about the process, I'm just going to go ahead and hit play here to actually show some of the development of what I was able to do. Unfortunately, we don't have the dialogue in this level or the UI that Zach has made. But once it loads up here. All right, so starting out, I don't know if you all can see that there, but there's enemies walking around. I was able to go and do implement some enemy AI and some nav mesh movement. So a lot of it has to do with, so they are in a patrolling state, and then once you get close enough to them, then they start chasing you. And then once you get close enough, they start hitting you. And if you look up in the top left, you can see the health bar going down, a chip effect. And then once we go and implement some health potions, stuff like that, and then you collect them, that's what will happen up there in the top left. It'll turn green and it'll chip forward. And then once you get far enough away, and yes, the animations are a little bit buggy still. They're not wanting to work properly. But once you get far enough away from them, they go back in their patrolling state. And then you can select a spell with 1, 2, or 3. Right now, we just have the particle effects and sounds for number 2. But you go and you left click, and then once it goes and plays all the way through, the enemy will die. Right now, I have the damage set to 100, just that way for the demo purposes. We're not sitting here just spam clicking the left mouse button to go and show them dying. But from that, I'll go to another scene. This is from the actual scene that I was going in and demoing these from. So this right here is Maw. He's supposed to be one of the boss characters. And then we have Jolene. And these characters came from Mixamo, Mixamo.com. It's a website by Adobe. It's really cool. You go and can get pre-made animations and characters and stuff like that. But this one's Jolene. The sword didn't come with it. We found that on the Unity asset store. It's called the water sword, but I went and I changed the color to green to match the character. And then we have Nightshade. And the sword is also from a Unity asset pack. It was the sci-fi great sword from it. And from these characters, essentially what I did is I made a scriptable object that goes and has the enemy data from it. So they each have a name, a description, health, a walk speed, run speed, their detect range, attack range, their walking points, and then their time between attacks. So each one of those enemies has that. So I was able to go and create one script and then create 3 scriptable objects to drag and drop to speed up the process of creating the enemy AI. So that way, whenever we decide to go and add more enemies to it, instead of it taking 2 to 3 hours to write new scripts for each and every single one of them, it'll take a half an hour per enemy of just linking everything together. So that way it's more effective and more efficient to go and get that levels built out. One of the problems that we did have was a merge conflict with GitHub. So we were working just solely in the main branch. A lot of us don't have experience of working in a group with GitHub. And so we weren't creating branches and merging that as we see fit. Instead, we were all working within the main branch. And we had problems with people working in the project at the same time, causing us to lose around like 9 to 12 hours of progress there towards the very end. So we had to remake all of that, unfortunately. But other than that, the enemy process was, I found it very fun. It was a new learning experience for me because I didn't really work with scriptable objects until now. So it's pretty cool. And Zach, I'm pretty sure has some UI to go and show with his inventory system and stuff like that. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now.
I've got like a little video.
Go ahead, Zach.
I got like a little video thing I did put
Let me
together.
make sure you can share screen. There you
Okay.
go. You should be able to now.
Okay, give me one moment here. Let me see. So I was responsible for doing the inventory UI. And can everybody see my screen? So the Alina is the main character. She can pick up items. There's a prompt at the bottom. So those are gold coins on the ground. She can pick up them. And it'll be automatically placed in inventory. The first slot in the corner, it increases whenever you add a item to it. And you can, using a hotkey, I think I set it to like the less than sign, you can equip the left slot and equip it in like in the player's hands. The info for like an item when you hover over, it's like shown to the right there. Yeah, that was pretty much, I had never worked with the inventory system before this summer, and I just thought it'd be a cool thing to dive into, and I really ended up loving it.
Nice. Okay, before we move on to the rest of the slides, I just want to take a moment and see if anyone also wants to just say something that they learned over the summer from working on a group project. So David, Eric, Ryan, Zach, if you want to say anything else first.
Oh yeah, working with the group was definitely a big learning experience for me. I've only worked in a group with one other person, and that was at this previous semester, but it was just one other person, and they were solely asset, so they didn't really work in the project any. So if you guys want to take any advice away from this meeting tonight, it's to, number one, push like every 15 minutes to GitHub if you're using GitHub. Always use branches, have one person to go and moderate the merges, and external backup. Have like 3 backups. Have a GitHub backup, have a hard backup on a hard drive, and then have another backup in another cloud system like Google Drive or something like that. But other than that, I really had fun this summer. It's definitely worth it. If anybody watching this is deciding to join, I highly recommend it.
Would anyone else like to say anything?
Yeah, I just think the biggest thing is like committing, making sure when you like making branches and just like how to commit and like push properly. That's like a big thing, because we lost a little bit of time. We were able to get a lot of our progress back, but that was like the one big thing I learned over the summer is like just keep it, make sure you have backups, like kind of what David said.
What about you, Eric or Ryan?
So what I learned over the summer is to not try to go like, don't try to do a variety of things. Focus on one thing specifically and then work on that to get it like near perfect, because I was trying to do a bunch of different things, somewhat related, somewhat not. And it threw me behind in what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I can
Also,
follow that for sure.
also like Blender, very difficult program for me to use. I'm more comfortable with like some of the stuff I've used in the past, but I definitely would learn Blender first if you're trying to do 3D objects.
Yeah, or if you're a student, you can get Maya for free as well. That's a good professional program to also use. Good. All right, Ryan, do you want to say anything?
Yes, I guess number one thing I learned, and like I learned this with every video game I've ever gone through, is just different approaches to make it better. And it always comes down to research and just having a good set plan. That is number one. I think there's some things I know in my area where I messed up, and mainly it's because I'm new to Unity, but if I would have taken a different approach, it would have been a lot easier for all of us, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, let me go ahead and share the PowerPoint back up again. Just a sec. All right. So where are we going next? So right now, we are managing the fall session of MonRiverGames. We're starting with a collaborative 2D project that's very simple, so that hopefully by starting with simplicity, we can build up to complexity later on. We are going to continue development on Dawn of Alina. We're going to keep running with it for the 3D section. We're going to talk more about how we're going to do that as we go, just to kind of make sure that everybody's time is used well, and that we we get what we need from it, but then everybody that's a member also gets what they need from it. So we're also going to do some more of that script writing for level 2 and level 3, and try to make sure it's implemented for level 1, and some sort of boss / ending we'll figure out when we get there. Obviously more asset creation and selection. It was primarily maybe 2-3 people at times doing asset creation. I did a lot of it. So this time around we have kind of a full session with Fall. So everybody's gonna get a chance to make an asset. So and get a chance to learn how to grab assets as well that are Creative Commons or open source or just usable at all commercially or educationally. So that's kind of our plans for the future as we move forward. But also we have a few upcoming events. We usually have one of these every semester. This is going to be, let's see, this is going to be the 3rd semester that we've done this, not including the summer. So 4 if we include the summer, which was again entirely volunteer based, not for credit. But anyway, at these sessions, we will determine as a group a theme, kind of like probably a few days prior. We'll post it on our social medias. So MonRiverGames Facebook or MonRiverGames Instagram, we'll post it there. And then we'll have a hybrid event in which we're each pitching an idea, that we want to try to make. So it'll be pretty open, except for you'll have to stick to the theme. I am also going to be representing us in the International Conference on Meaningful Play, October 12th through the 14th for a different separate game in Michigan. And then we were invited to take part and participate in DualCon. It's a West Virginia conference in game development and related kind of careers, February 11th, 2023 in Charleston. So that'll be a fun thing. We'll probably have a few other things. So for example, BitBridge, a local community game organizer as well. They're going to have their Halloween showcase. We'll try to participate in that in any way that we can. We'll try to make it to several other events. We'll see what we can do. Obviously, we don't want to do too much and not be able to have enough time to work on what we want to work on. Let's see. If you want to stay updated with us, if you want to learn more about how to be a member on the community side of things, and because we have kind of like two branches, we have our students, and then we have our community. You can stay updated through the website, the Facebook, the Instagram. You can also email us at info@monrivergames.com for member information. We're going to have another volunteer organization based session in the spring, since there's not going to be a class that's running. So we'll have that one as a volunteer based one again in the spring. So we'll be recruiting for that at the October pitch session. You can also support us online, MonRiverGames.com for the merch section. That's a good way to support us. Redbubble as well. Okay, that's another good place. Anyone want to have some closing comments before I stop the recording of the thread, and then we can talk a little candidly after that?
Yeah. If anybody is looking for experience of working in a group, like I said before, I highly recommend going and joining this. And it's just a lot of fun. You meet new people and you learn how to work better within a group if you're looking for that experience.
Yeah, good. All right, I'm gonna stop share. I'm gonna stop recording. Okay, right there.